side, I feel like FlyQuest will get Varus Braum this game or have it split up by TSM.
Holy Vance, right in there. Aatrox, Rakan, Orianna fast from FlyQuest. As Nocturne is hit from the other side, probably see a Taliyah from TSM to end things off. As Varus is actually banned, a very big play for Wild Turtle in their past 3 games, with that fourth being forced to Kai'Sa. Final ban here for TSM, 15 seconds left in phase 1.
Kindred, Zoe jump up to me. Taliyah is also the other one, so I'm expecting one of those 3 to be banned away here. The Taliyah leaves Zoe and Kindred up, and Zoe has been fantastic for Keen. He won 2 games back in week 4 and 5, and then he was kind of pushed to Orianna and then Galio. The Galio performances from him have not been very solid.
2 losses.
But now that he has this champion up against Bjergsen in the mid lane, I want to see what he plays there, because right now in the meta, people have been playing things like LeBlanc. Aurelia is a really good counter pick. And like Jat was saying, one of the win conditions for TSM is have an aggressive counter pick mid against Keen.
Being able to shut him down, it's going to be tough against that. Zoe now. Braum picked up as they wait. Possibly a jungler here for TSM, but they're going to go AD carry right off the bat here. Bot lane, Ezreal locked in as they get Braum Ez. And FlyQuest final 2 and 3 here for phase 1.
I like this because they're taking away the Braum from JJ. It's what he's had the most success with. He's won those 3 games in their last 4, even played it in one of their losses back in week 4 with Cloud9. And the Ezreal is kind of the staple for Sven since last split, where he was just playing that champion and being incredibly safe the whole time. But now Wild Turtle, Ashe, Arrow, duty here for him in the bottom lane. Good range. He's going to have some good engage, too.
It's been a while. Definitely hasn't played it in the summer split just yet, so we'll see that back in his hands with Tahm Kench safety if he does need it. And Bjergsen now to level off this final ban here for TSM on phase 1. 6 and 5 versus a 5 and 6 team. All of the teams are ridiculously close here, so as they say, the wins matter so much.
Oh yeah.
Gnar's locked in for Haunter on the top side. He can be a menace, but also have an impact on those fights if he is called for.
Yeah, the Gnar, we'll see what they end up playing against in the top lane. We are seeing more and more Gnar for the split pushing and the flexibility. And this is TSM going for a little more lane presence instead of just waiting for things to happen, having some lane bullies. So we've seen the Gangplank as an answer, we've seen a Yasuo as an answer, and then there's Kennen that's kind of waiting underneath the surface. And if there's anybody who's going to bring out something like the Kennen, I would think it's Flame, because I remember his Kennen from years ago. We're talking about CJ Entis Blaze back in the day. This guy would play a really mean Kennen in the top lane and knew how to bully. So we'll see if he pulls it out here today. And Kennen has been kind of creeping up in the meta.
Rise and Gangplank bans. I figured we might be seeing a possible GP pick coming in. And what will it be? Any junglers actually to get a hit here?
Yeah.
Though the Trundle says Ronnie. There's finally the Kindred to come out. And Trundle has been hitting that top of the list quite often as we see a few more bans. But it's going to be LeBlanc, so pick of the litter for junglers.
So they
that Nocturne and Kindred.
Banned away the LeBlanc counter pick I was talking about with the Zoe, and now the Kindred is interesting because if TSM are going to pick their jungler here instead of their mid laner, I would feel like you would want the priority Kindred, but they might be saving their jungle for last. They'll pick their mid lane here to play up against the Zoe, but no, it's going to be the Trundle, and they were just saying we were going to play Trundle all along.
Yeah,
and we didn't want the
see
Kindred.
everything.
Interesting.
Good take as well. A few Trundle plays from Santorin on the blue side, so he's been feeling comfortable on that more defensive style. Wild Turtle to finally pick that up for him here. We already have JJ and Turtle's picking Ashe and Tahm Kench. The Sejuani might be the lock-in, and now they need something for Flame. Possibly that Kennen. I know I'd love it.
Yep. I would say you go with the Kennen. There you go.
Awesome. Very cool. So a very big fight composition. They could just pile on to TSM if they hit one of these arrows, but they can also choose to just take that person out from distance if they want. They have a few options here. See how TSM finishes off their composition.
There's a lot of poke here with the Zoe alongside the Ashe, and you can have a lot of long-range engage. You have the Bola from Sejuani, you have the ultimate from Ashe, and then you have the team-fighting flank from even having a Tahm Kench deliver a Kennen. There's some great combos in there. Now, the question that I have for this game once it gets started is AP or AD Kennen. We've seen press the attack AD Kennen in the top lane just for on hits, and we've also seen a little more AP Kennen come up with some big burst combos and team fighting. So I want to see what Flame goes with here, and especially up against the Gnar, you can kind of go either way. So it's whatever the composition kind of orders for here.
I was going to say, they have 20 seconds to switch. Does Flame take the Tom Kench? Let's go. It used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Super menacing and annoying.
Probably not, but
not a thing here.
Yeah, but something that we haven't touched on too much yet is that Bjergsen on the Syndra, signature pick for him, comfort, and it's a champion that can really blow up the Zoe. He does have to watch out for Sleepy Trouble Bubbles himself with the low mobility, but we'll see. He has the cleanse. Looks like Mithy is also rocking cleanse, which you want to get. You definitely want these summoner spells versus an Ashe, a Sejuani,
absolutely,
and having the Zoe on top of it.
And it's a thing we see TSM do in the middle of the split if they are almost at that 5-5 mark. Now 5-6 as they go away from trying to kind of force themselves into the Galio comps or something else. Back to Syndra, back to comfort. Have Bjergsen get 4 or 5 kills as you funnel into that mid lane and make sure he can get the resources of jungle and maybe even Hanser roams here. We're about to get on to the Rift. A 6-5 FlyQuest looking to put another win in that column, and TSM looking to move up from 5-6. We're about to be right into this game, and we'll have to see what compositions have for each other. FlyQuest looking at a poke, but also possible initiation comp, and TSM have what it takes to kind of keep it safe in lanes and get to that late game fight style that they oh so love.
TSM staying safe in the lane has been something that's been rough for them. They haven't been having pretty much any advantage in the early game. These are actually the 2 worst teams at gold at 15 in the league, with FlyQuest being 10th and TSM being 9th. But when I looked at a lot of the TSM stats, because people have been saying they're not very proactive, right? They aren't doing much in the early game. You can observe it, but then it actually manifests in stats as well, where they have the worst first dragon rate in the entire league at 18%. Is how often they get the first dragon. They have bottom 3 in dragon control in pretty much every statistic in terms of number of dragons taken in games, how often they take it, stuff like that. And when you get to the point where it's like they also have bottom 3 in first turret and Rift Herald, it just means they aren't doing anything in the early parts of the game. Now their Baron stats are in the middle of the pack, but that's because they've stolen multiple Barons with Rig. If that didn't happen, they'd still be in bottom 3 in objective control overall. So TSM have been, like everybody's been saying, actually just sitting around and not pushing advantages and kind of waiting for stuff to come to them. Right here, Greg, give this to Bjergsen. At least he gets experience in the range. And Bjergsen did get a tiny bit of the experience bar, so that means he will hit level 2 in the first wave.
It'd be good to push Keen off. We're saying that's the kind of advantage he needs to shut down onto Keen. And you talk about TSM playing pretty slow in the early game. They get to that 35, 40, 45-minute team fight where they have the mechanics and team fight prowess to basically take it over. A lot of teams are finding a way to close out the game before that 40-minute mark now, however. Red buffs on either side grabbed, and the junglers are off and running. It doesn't look like too much of a lead for any lane to get to the CS. Level 2s should be quite even as well, except for the one we'll watch here in mid. There goes Bjergsen.
Yeah, gonna hit that level 2 first, so it's gonna push him off. But watch this topside Scuttle Crab here. Greg actually does what a lot of junglers are doing now. It's do a camp into 3 small raptors into doing the Scuttle Crab. But Santorin just gonna go for Smite Steal. Poke out.
Bjergsen has to say he's gone. You see Greg actually get out of there real quick.
Yeah,
nice smite by Greg to get it.
Greg got it. Pretty much just said, if he's here, I'm going to secure it, and he picks that one up. So now, I really like that, because what you do is you do 3 small raptors. You'll take some damage from doing it. But remember, the Scuttle Crab doesn't hit you back. You aren't taking any damage during that time or anything.
Yeah.
And then you can go and clear the rest of the raptors, and you pretty much just use that time to cycle your jungle and keep it on cooldown, I would say. You just actually have a really good route here, and the raptors don't beat you up when you go past them as somebody who's pretty single target oriented.
So they did see Greg for a moment as he hopped out of the brush. Hauncher should know jungle is towards the top side. And Santorin's going to say, we'll use this for the moment as you harass Krugs, and then I'll come and see if I can make a moment of impact in the lane. And Flame is doing a perfect job of keeping the harass up, a quick Q and W, and always has that passive Thunder Shuriken.
Yeah, making sure that he can just bully the Gnar out. He does have the Doran's Blade versus the Doran Shield. You can see it's the first time that both him and Wild Turtle have played these champions in the summer split. I went back a little bit. Wild Turtle didn't play Ashe except for, I believe, last year, where it was his most played in 2017.
Right.
And then Flame, it has been a while since the Kennen has been pulled out. And we'll see what happens here. Level 3 dive onto Hanser, who has both the leap and interrupted.
This is the one out. Flame going in, and they are going to be able to get the first kill. Electric Surge goes down. First blood for Flame and FlyQuest.
Right there, Santorin able to tank up the turret aggro while he has the Sejuani shield from her passive and has the extra resistances from Aftershock. So he takes almost no damage from the turret shot, and then he follows Hanser out of the turret aggro range, and they only take a turret shot and only did like 50 damage. So Really good dive there, right here. Trying to
Out of
get
the
the
weak,
back.
flash over the wall, gets the slow on immediately.
Oh!
They stop Greg in his tracks.
He had the club above his head. He was ready to bring it down on Kane and bonk his noggin, but he got stunned by the bubble right there. There's that frame. Oh my God, that's a tilter right there. We're like, he's dead. The animation is coming through.
We talked about how much pressure they would put mid. Here's the first pressure towards Hanser on the top side to knock down the Gnar.
Yeah, and you see Santorin uses the Q to draw aggro, gets the aftershock, takes a turret shot, but it barely does any damage to him, and then they just finish him off there. So it's only the flash for the kill, and then right here, the stun into the throw. Bjergsen doesn't have enough mana to walk forward, and then, oh God, the club was so close. It looked like he was just gonna get that last little bump. Oh, that's huge though, because that means that you get all this extra gold onto Keen, and that's 2 lanes that they want to have go their way are now going their way on the side of FlyQuest. So Bjergsen with the counter pick not working out there because the second blood going over, and that's also Santorin getting a piece of both kills.
Grig still on forward duty here, trying to get vision, be a bit of a sentry as well to pick up knowledge of what's going on around the map. Not a big lead grabbed by Flame and CS, but coming back to lane with an item now is going to be rough for Hanser. He may start to build up now as bot lane gets stunned up. Concussive blows onto JJ. Grig just on the outside would love to get something back on this, but continuously coming up short on these moments.
Yeah, because Grig didn't have flash, he didn't want to go forward and then pillar JJ, who would then have to blow his flash to get out. But the issue is he didn't want to get caught where the Ashe can constantly slow him. I love this from Flame, though. This is actually back when I was kind of messing around with Kennen myself in the AP builds. Getting the very early revolver is huge, and then he's actually maxing the W first, which is you just keep attacking minions, and then you walk up, attack the guy W.
Yep.
It's guaranteed damage versus the Q. It was kind of because I was bad at Kennen. Landing skill shots is difficult, but then having more wave clear with the W, having pretty much guaranteed damage off of your basic attacks into the W is really good constant harassment on the Gnar, just like that.
There's not a lot of champions that actually offer that kind of hit skill with an auto attack that goes over champions, right? You got Ezreal that can W over and then Q, but it has to go around.
Over the minions, right?
Yeah, over the minions. He's so oppressive with Kennen. Flame is just giving that to Hanser. Wild Turtle and JJ pushed up now in lane. Just about 10% on that turret has been done. We're about 7 minutes in right now. 1,000 gold lead over to FlyQuest with their movement on the map and being able to shut down TSM's pressure.
And you saw that like Keen hit level 6 first, and then Flame now has this kill, the first blood in the top side. So he just has this larger and larger advantage he's throwing up there. And then in the mid lane, we got to see what happens with Keen here. Vax, Dark Seal, Corrupting Pot, Merc Treads. It's a pretty like ramping build here for the Zoe, but he's trying to survive the lane phase. And Bjergsen got the counter pick. And being able to survive the lane phase as a champion that was supposed to be kind of pushed out by the champion select is pretty much all you could hope for, and it's going to go quite well here. We'll see what happens as Sejuani hits 6 in just a bit, because there's no cleanse on Bjergsen for a bit here. And if that was called out, then that means I expect Santorin to go towards mid and try to lock up Bjergsen with the ultimate.
Bjergsen throwing down a pink, also getting clear for himself. He also put a pixel brush down, so he knows there's going to be more pressure mid lane and wants to stay safe. 68 to 43. Now finally capitalizing on that pressure. Flame is pushing Hanser back under his turret constantly.
And they blind picked this Gnar, banned the GP, and we were talking about it pretty much immediately as the Gnar was locked in. That Flame is one of the people who will definitely play the Kennen into the Gnar. It's an older counter matchup, but it definitely works. And it's I would say it's a little bit safer than the Yasuo, and you don't have to be as practiced on the champion to outplay the Gnar.
Yeah. Ultimates feel just as good.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna go AP. So a lot of good team fighting presence there from Flame. We'll see what he's able to do with things like teleports later in the game.
Revolver right now. He's sitting on 1,000 gold.
Yeah, you rush the Proto Belt. So the build is typically Proto Belt, and then you can pivot from there. We see some people go Sword Shoes Oblivion Orb so that they have good team fighting with the ultimate. Hold on, looks like a blue contest here. FlyQuest are gonna try to do the TSM Classic on TSM and contest the blue buff.
Been quiet for the last few minutes. Quick pull away there as the blue buff is abducted by Bjergsen, picked up by him. And everybody just fizzles out of this one. Sven back to bot lane to farm. 82 to 78 in that lane, as again, we figured it was going to be very quiet for the laning phase, at least from the side of TSM. They did try in mid, and it seems like that kind of put them on the back foot to try again.
Yeah, they tried in mid, it didn't succeed. Keen was able to get out, and now he's in a place where he has stopwatch. He's got a lot of consumables that will take him a lot of HP, and he has the Merc Tread, so ganking the Zoe is incredibly difficult at this point.
There's two big plays from that stopwatch as well. JJ decides to do a dive on the bot side. And a lot of the wards here for FlyQuest are being pushed up onto that blue side. It is a Cloud Drake first, so that kind of tells me they want to maybe get a dive on that bot tier turret. Just get the pressure onto those kills. 2-0 so far, and those are on the solo lanes of Flaming. He returns back to Bjergsen. Blue buffs for the mid laners.
Yep, blue buffs for the mid laners, and we'll see what they're able to do with it. Bjergsen actually roaming down towards the bottom side. No, actually just
so much vision.
Going off, and he spotted pretty much the whole way because there's a lot of vision there. And Jat was talking about it, that Hanser has the worst CSD at 10 for top laners at -5.4. It's not going to get any better this game. It's actually going to get worse. In 10 minutes, he's about 30 CS down. That's immense. That is so much. That's going to make that stat actually drop a decent amount.
And there's been pressure of vision, so they know they're privy to where Grig is all the time. They can't come back and do anything to that top side if they want to put pressure on it. So what kind of is in the mind of TSM here? You have Bjergsen on Syndra, a huge carry for the team. Do more resources at this point. You need to be putting that mid lane.
I think what they need to do is they at least need to ward around it and start contesting things like the Herald and the Cloud Drake, because TSM have just historically this split been awful at that, and one of the worst teams in the league at controlling these side objectives, and they're behind. They can't really play through the Gnar because the Kennen is just bullying him.
Yeah.
So it gets difficult. You can say things like maybe we should gank this matchup because the Kennen's pretty easy to gank and doesn't have great escapes. But they're being tracked by things like the Hawk Shot throughout the jungle the whole time. So Grig making moves on this Trundle, which isn't even a great ganker in the first place, is still rough. So they, even just by throwing that Hawk Shot there, they can imply, hey, Grig is on the bottom side of the map.
And they look like they want to make this happen with the amount of vision they've given Hanser to say, stay protected as much as you can. We need to start focusing on bottom, mid, and bottom of these lanes. We need to get items in. Spear just picked up by Sven as he starts to come back out, and charged up, I should say, as he comes back out of lane. Ooh, good sleep. Nice follow-up damage as they possibly push TSM off. Dragon's already theirs, though.
Yeah, and Bjergsen already backed and spent his gold, so him backing again is a little bit useless. He's going to pop his potions, so he's going to be in lane with a little bit less HP, but still has the cleanse, still has the flash. And now there's really nothing to fight over on the map, and people are just going to push and try to get vision and potentially get turrets or push for turrets, because this bottom turret is actually almost half HP. So TSM, they had a kill go over in the top side, and that turret is half HP. They had a kill go over in the mid lane to Keen, and Bjergsen is now kind of having that lead that he had made in terms of CS be evened up. And now bottom lane, there's just pressure onto this bottom turret. And the Rift Herald, I think Santorin's actually going to use it right here mid to try to crack this turret open.
Yeah, great damage down on the bot side. So FlyQuest decides to focus mid and counteract what's happening. That actually draws Sven and Mithy away from Wild Turtle, who was almost dead. They're able to get good damage onto the mid turret. It won't be a full rotation from the bot side, but having no vision, FlyQuest says, let's temper this. Just get the damage that we can. A lot of kind of counteracting going on, reacting, I should say, to just each other's plays instead of saying, we want to do this.
Yeah, this is an awkward position to be in macro-wise. Mithy ran mid to try and make sure that they can't get that mid turret, because it's very important to keep your mid turret up. But it's even, Santorin used the Rift Herald on the one turret that wouldn't insta-die to the Rift Herald, because the other two are in range. So he kind of went for the most valuable turret, didn't get it, and so they're on the back foot now on TSM and have to kind of defend multiple really low HP turrets at once.
This is somewhat the first time TSM has actually controlled their own jungle vision-wise. So maybe they can come out of the fog or make a play here. They still see Bjergsen coming up, and Grig cannot activate with a pillar.
Yeah, but
still staying quiet.
Gonna go for the Scuttle Crab on the top side. Top side control seems to be what FlyQuest are kind of aiming for at this moment in time. And yeah, it's Oblivion Orb plus Sork Shoes for Flame, making sure that he has the magic penetration. The build will typically go, like I said, into Proto Belt, having the Oblivion Orb. I don't believe you go for Morellonomicon. You typically go for Void Staff, Death Cap. You just go for almost like a full penetration build on the Kennen, because Kennen's base damage is just so high. Having the penetration behind it is usually better than just more AP.
It's interesting you don't throw a stopwatch in sooner. But you want to stay alive, you want to tag, you want to hit.
That's true. The Zhonya's is probably a good buy. I'll give you that. The Zhonya's is something that you end up in the build for sure. Kind of forgot about that one for a second.
I mean, it's so easy because you buy the stopwatch first.
Yeah.
You think you kind of have it already, but they're saying, no, we aren't going to get in those full 5v5s at the moment. The one thing I'm loving is you get mid laners with such damage, they're like, oh, we can just build Merc Treads, protect damage. We don't need Sork Boots anymore. You might do too much.
Well, it's just because there's so much CC in this game in particular.
They get crushed, and then they can live against each other's huge ultimates, especially Bjergsen unleashing the power. So hopefully keep themselves alive. Bjergsen doubling up with that cleanse, as we said before. And now we got some turrets low, possibly getting one to break down soon, but yeah. TSM is doing a good job of forcing the vision back, slowly encroaching onto FlyQuest's side now. Yeah,
the turrets are low, they're not dead, so the gold hasn't gone over to FlyQuest yet, and that's why we're still at this 800 gold lead for FlyQuest, and it hasn't ballooned. You can see they're actually abandoning the bottom side because they don't have vision here. Because FlyQuest was prioritizing top mid vision, the bottom side is pretty dark for them. So even though Bjergsen and Grieg weren't even going to go for a dive there, you saw the bottom lane just backed up so far. And so Santorin's now on sweeper duty to try and get something back in the bottom lane. Look at this, Sven low.
Could be looking for an arrow. Doesn't look like they want to fight though. Grieg just backs off. They have vision though. Now Santorin and Keen can kind of make something happen as they make their way downriver or decide to go back for Bjergsen mid on a very low mid turret. Santorin hovering as the fight begins bot side. Glacial Prison quickly hit off, but he gets drowsy, and Bjergsen gets out with just about 30% of his HP. Grieg is in every lane here trying to play babysitter to make sure nothing too bad happens.
Yeah, I don't think he can actually hold all of these. Right here, Keen. Oh, yep, that's the first turret though.
Short chain. Constant pressure from FlyQuest in every lane, and Grieg is lucky to have Frozen Domain to make it each and every one.
Santorin's overreaching.
Yeah, a little bit of greed. Unleash power comes through as he makes it just by the pillar. Good damage coming in from Keen as he lights up Grieg with the sparkles, and now Bjergsen has to run away from the fight, not knowing what else is behind Keen with the vision.
Ooh. So they're going to disengage, but topside looks like full Morellonomicon rush here for Flame. So he just wanted all of that AP and the HP behind it. It's interesting because there isn't really something that you need the Grievous Wounds for, maybe the Trundle. But usually the Proto Belt comes through a little earlier because it's got CDR on it. It's a really good active item, but it just seems like he's more focused on just the basic attack, extra damage that he'd get from the Hextech Revolver on that 40-second cooldown.
And it feels so good to be him when you're winning your lane, but your team also drops 2 turrets around the map.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, gold, thanks.
Look at Sven, though.
Gold spike. Oh, just missing the enchanted arrow. Abyssal Voyage was a bit of a tip-off there for him to be ready to dodge. Did get his flash, though, but Ezreal still a magician at getting out. And they should be fine. Scuttle Crab going to be grabbed on bottom side. TSM is upping that Drake stat for them a little bit this game, and they may look to be able to grab that next Mountain Drake as it spawns in 10 seconds, and they grab vision control. Looks like they want to push JJ and team back into the turret. Really get anything out of Drake. It begins, Irene, the dance.
Yep. Finally, a Drake that people actually want to fight over here. We'll see the back come through for Hauntzer on the top side. Interested to see what happens with Flame because Kennen is probably one of the biggest team fighting tools that FlyQuest has right now. And I don't see any good flank wards for him. There's one kind of by the Gromp. Would be a bit of a trek for him. But I think that's the one that he would choose here. But it looks like FlyQuest are just going to have priority on it, and everybody else is just going back to farming. So TSM are going to see the objective.
That was a lot of vision. And they're like, I cannot protect. There's you back up. You are correct. So Mountain Drake actually gets picked up by FlyQuest. The first Drake to go over was that Cloud, so they are not too worried about what can happen in that late game. Coming up on 20 minutes, though, Baron will be a thing. And to stick this team together with the AoE that they have be quite scary with Santorin, Flame, and Keen picking off who he wants. Right now, think they can kind of play the fight where they take things without fighting. And we kind of talked about how this is bad for TSM because they're great at fighting. So if you can take their objectives avoiding all fights, it is really a detriment to the strategy, their strategy.
Yep. But they're just trying to take the objectives right now on the side of FlyQuest. They have the Mountain Drake. They have the first 2 turrets down. The Mountain Drake's going to help you get those other turrets. So they're rotating their lanes. Wild Turtle is up top. And you can see TSM are kind of saying this is going to happen, or what they expect is going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're looking for kind of a clever pick here. But there's a ward. They're going to see Wild Turtle right now.
I'm all alone. I'm just Kennen.
Right? It's going to be a fight. At least 4v4 here.
They know he's there because of the ward. Who's going to engage, though? JJ's kind of taunting. He's being the sentry to say, yes, there's more here. So they have vision on 2 more. 4 topside with Bjergsen the roam, and Keen has that communication to the team. They're matching side by side. Keen falling behind a little bit, and that could make the difference if somebody gets activated on here.
It would have to be FlyQuest using ultimate or getting a bubble.
Drowsy Flames to go over. That's a 4-man slicing.
Whoa.
Decides to go in. Glacial Fisher comes back. A lot of stuns now. FlyQuest knows they can move freely for the moment, but they do not want to go in with the follow-up damage. TSM can still offer a kill from Keen onto Middy. A huge hit on the Drowsy, and they're able to over the wall. Now for the turret. At 20 minutes, we were talking about how big that Baron pressure could be, and FlyQuest will be able to set up a bit of pressure here.
Yeah, having the Oblivion Orb and the Luden's Echo already completed for Keen, and that first kill means he's ready to go. He was able to get that huge burst there on the Mithy, and I don't even know if there was a situation where blocking for him would have been better, but right there, just blew him up. And you saw he almost blew up Hanser earlier in the fight, who has magic resistance.
This is going to be big. Greg on the other side. Remember what TSM's barrier control is from. It's from steals. Being able to get into the last moment. FlyQuest will have 4 members on it with Sven just on the other side. And they are going to back off feeling the pressure. TSM, you just want to toy with them a little bit.
Yeah, pretty risk averse there. Saying they don't want to go for it. Yeah, 20 minutes, sure, it's strong. But then they all back off. It's because Grig is there. Hanser gets hit by this, he almost gets completely annihilated off his Q. Below half HP, and then a great scatter of the week there. Bjergsen actually almost saves the fight because that diagonal ball that went up towards JJ knocked him, but then right here, yeah, Sven blocking this would be better for sure. But at the same time, you can't know that 100%. Maybe they would have dove off the F0 being dunked, so.
Here's TSM flexing a little bit as they get towards mid lane. True Shot Barrage to deter FlyQuest off the turret, but no wave to be taken. Good push by Wild Turtle on the top side as he is now about 20 CS, I say 12 CS up. Looks like that'll be cleaned up by Sven to start things off. TSM now kind of in a mode where they can soak things up, start to deny fights themselves and get vision. Maybe take a fight off Bjergsen's hit, off of Middy's ultimate, or Greg getting something big. Hanser still needs a bit of time to build up so he can get these fights too.
Yeah, but you can totally see how this game is kind of progressing out in terms of these guys' season, where it's 3 kills for FlyQuest. First 2 kills were off of stuff in the lane and the ganks.
Yep.
And then for the 3rd kill, it was off of a team fight where it was kind of touch and go, where these teams aren't really committing to anything very heavily. And once FlyQuest got a lead, they aren't one of the teams that just like completely just dives the Gnar over and over and over again. They seem to try to play the entire map at once. And against TSM, it worked because they're able to get all 3 out of the outer turrets down. And now this is the part of the game that I think gets really difficult for both these teams, figuring out how to get advantages without putting yourself at risk, because I think both these teams are very afraid of losing as opposed to really wanting to win. They're more, hey, let's just not throw this game, and TSM is on the back foot saying, let's not do anything that loses us this game further. And that's where you don't see those games like Echo Fox, for example. They're just constantly, even when they're behind, they're throwing themselves at you, right? Because they're constantly trying to get back in it. Where TSM here, the plan to get back in it seems to be, we're going to try to wait for a mistake. Like Jav was saying, kind of wait and play reactive macro against FlyQuest.
And ooh, a good Glacial Prison coming out. Bjergsen has to use the cleanse. That means they can follow up with a little bit more Drowsy. JJ getting way too far forward. And the team get there for defense. Glacial Fisher forward, and he flashes into the rest of the knockup. JJ's gonna go down. The rest of the team now having to back off, but they say no. Enchanted Arrow into the fight. Flame is in with Slicing Maelstrom, dropping down Greg. TSM is looking to assess the fight entry, and they hit 1 onto Wild Turtle. No connection for the concussive blows, and it is in and out for Keen as he tries to find one more possible target. can see how scattered these fights are. He's the only one still looking for fights as the rest of the team is done.
I mean, that's exactly what TSM wanted, though. They wanted to have a fight where they get a pick first onto JJ, and then they get another one afterwards. So it's a 2-for-1 in favor of TSM. Right here, FlyQuest, Keen has a flash. He looks like he wants to duel Bjergsen. Old school.
Blue for blue, into
Kryptonite, let's see.
The Drowsy, gonna deny some damage as the minions body block the Paddle Star on the way back in. Bjergsen comes out clean on that one. Mid still being pushed up by FlyQuest as TSM back out of the base to clean up a little bit of the map.
I like what Keen did there, too, because what he did is he tried to go into the bush to drop the minion aggro so that they wouldn't aggro him and that they would keep going.
Flash.
But it ended up where they saw him still, and then they end up going to the side.
Here's
so
the mid-fight.
Santorin goes in. They look like they want to pinch in, but the Trundle Pillar makes it so nobody wants to go on this right side, so they can't actually pinch and flank off JJ. So the great Trundle Pillar from Greg to actually set it up, and then JJ, I think he had to flash there because he's either going to get stunned in place, or Mithy threw down the ultimate and he got stunned afterwards and knocked up. So it's kind of pick your poison there of which way to go.
That
Stun in
last
place
fight
or stun further away.
Was a 2-for-2. 3 flashes down on the side of TSM, and 3 flashes down on the side of FlyQuest. Bit slow to Santorin as they try to hit the Drowsies. You can see Keen has a barrier, so he may be going a bit harder. Eyes definitely on Flame on that cannon. We watch the team just head out for a fight.
Zonia's completed, so
Yes, he did.
doesn't have to wait for the...
It's like he had a coupon. That was fast.
yeah, it was... Stopwatch will do that. Yeah. It's great because you stopwatch, and then you buy your Zonias, and you already have it back up. You can actually just pretty much Zonias back-to-back in team fights. But this will be the second Mountain Drake for FlyQuest. I think the TSM are saying they don't want to give this one up that easily.
These are the moments that allow TSM to orchestrate a 5v5 fight, possibly on the in or the out. It looks like they want to trail this one as Wild Turtle is the caboose. JJ's going to save him. Bring him in nice and easy. 25.5 minutes in, FlyQuest is just skirting around TSM again, avoiding a fight, taking an objective.
Well, the issue here for TSM is that FlyQuest have really great engage and poke. So they're getting poked down when they don't engage on the side of TSM.
Yep.
They're getting engaged on when they're trying to disengage. And TSM's composition is not built for engage. Right? You look at compositions that are built for engage, they have these large, long-range stuns. It's kind of Mithy, who's more of a defensive champion, and then you're looking for maybe Haunter to find a way in, but he's not going to find an easy way in against this. Wani that can Q him, all of these guys who can just throw down CC from a decent amount of range. So TSM are lacking in the engage department, which makes it hard for them to close games out, but they do have a decent amount of disengage or kite backwards, so they're kind of waiting for FlyQuest to engage on them and then react to it.
We've seen TSM in recent weeks put that Alistar in the jungle somewhat, or more initiation down towards the bot lane as well, with Rakan banned out as well, and Alistar not so much fitting into these compositions. So, as you said, struck a little bit to find that way into their own fights. Maybe Bjergsen gets a good scat of the week, but it's also conditional at that point. Very hard to know you're going to get anything. They have to be very wary, though. FlyQuest with 2 Mountain Drakes can drop a lot of these objectives. They move faster on the map, and now they're going to be moving in a party of 3 as Flame takes the bot side against Haunter for the split push.
Yeah, he lost his turret, though, so another turret goes over to TSM, keeps that gold within 1,000 after that awful start. And TSM, this is where they rubber band back into the game.
Yep.
They have that late game team fight, and because they didn't get too far behind early, it actually is pretty decent for them at this point in the game. It just comes down to FlyQuest engaging and TSM playing around the counter engage. I'm pretty much saying at this point this game is going to come down to a team fight. I don't think it's coming down to anybody split pushing. They're all going to come for these picks or these fights. And there's one on JJ.
Bjergsen just a bit away, looking to actually push down the mid lane, knowing the team has the fight. TSM is trying to put so many things on their plate now to say, hey, we're getting this. We need to act instant to get back in.
But that plate is one that I'm going to go around with the buffet with and say, I want some of that, because right there, they just got JJ before his flash was back up. Now they can go get Baron vision control. Yeah. Mid lane, they've already gotten that turret down, so they're in a good spot where they can actually shove out mid and control the Baron. And you can see Bjergsen's on the top side taking care of that. So TSM off that pick, pretty much going to even up the entire gold score in this game 28 minutes in.
That's what you have to avoid. TSM may look like they're on the back foot, but if they get one thing, they know exactly what to do next. Haunter gets hit. He's going to be able to Mega Gnar out of this one. It looks like they're going to be able to retaliate just a little bit. Does Keen come back harder and save Santorin? does. JJ decides to get the Abyssal Voyage just in range of the fight. Bjergsen slowly coming down river as now it's got a horizontal fight between top and mid side.
Yeah, it's such an awkward place to fight right there.
Yeah.
It's like a corridor that has, it's like a choke point that has like access to the choke point on either side, so people can hit you over the wall and not actually be in the choke point. And if you want to hit somebody who's on the far side of it, you have to walk up further, and it's just like really interesting in terms of fighting there. And you saw Flame was looking for a potential flash ultimate to the backline, but nobody on his backline would be able to damage anybody because of the kind of the lay of the land.
So let's see if TSM can now use this vision. Quite a bit put out. There are some waves to clear. Bjergsen's trying to get huge. He actually did hit level 16. I think he's the first in the game, so he got his final level of ultimate. Top's actually just hit it as well, so call me a liar.
Yeah, I'll call you a liar.
Big damage coming there if they can get this fight.
Yeah, I think Hanser is probably the highest level in the game. It's just top. Did you know, fun fact, that top laners actually have the fastest level 18 on average in League of Legends?
So why do they complain all the time?
Because getting there is always a struggle, because they're not the focus. Because they hit level 18 because they don't get to play with anybody else, and they get solo experience for the whole game. So they don't even know they have a team half the time. Like, you, literally, as a top laner, I can't remember how many times I've sat there and gone, wait, I have a Sona support? Like, you don't even know who your bottom lane is for half the
greatest. Oh, there's a team out there?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, top laners actually have the most experience in the game typically, as Flame hits level 17.
In the game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They would typically hit level 18 first. Level 17, 16, and 18 are the ones that top laners will hit first. People always think it's mid laners, but mid laners are your wave clear most of the time, so they have to group up with random people at times.
It feels like it, right? Because that's what like the base of League of Legends is.
Yeah.
When you're a mid laner, you get a lot of power because you level up. And when you're an AD guy, you buy your AD from cash and gold because that's why you get help.
And then top laners just get everything. But
seeing a trend here, I'm gonna start playing top lane.
They get everything except a team. That's what the top laners get.
Question mark? So 1 minute on the Mountain Drake. There might be a third from FlyQuest. That would be absolutely huge. It's tempted though by a Baron as they stretch the sides of the map. Flame, Electric Rush gets his surge down as well. Lightning Rush rather.
It hasn't gone for the Proto Belt at all. Just went for the penetration after that. So. Yeah, you can call me a liar on that one. I thought Proto Belt was pretty standard, but rotation, trying to look for Hansu, who's just gonna jump on him.
Leapfrogged off. Oh, right in the back of the head. They're gonna try to initiate this one. Keen just getting out of a slippery situation in
real
mid.
flash.
And it is going to be Hanser going down the follow-up and chase from the Frost Archer just too much, and they pick one up on the bot side, 5 and 3. But remember, TSM loses something. They always have an idea of what to do next. Even with Santorin on the other side of them, towards base side, they're going for mid. FlyQuest
not another base
still
race, come on.
Going towards the inhibitor turret.
Not again.
Kennen actually gets really good attack speed as he levels up. Wild Turtle is going down the inhibitor with him, and now FlyQuest tries to play the stop the back game.
Not
Zoe
again.
coming in from the side. Mithy, Bjergsen, and Sven caught in a fight with Santorin. Keen now enters. The backing from Greg may make it in time. The Nexus Fair's going down. Again, Zyrene. 5 and 4. They look to be 7 and 5 in the summer split. FlyQuest on the Nexus. Slicing Maelstrom. Slices TSM down. And FlyQuest push through the base for the win.
2 games in a row. FlyQuest have their wins off the back of base races that they call and they win.
You gotta be kidding.
Oh my god. I can't believe that. FlyQuest.
There's a glitch in the Matrix.
Deja vu. Mega deja vu.
Oh my word. What? Look at the elated faces of FlyQuest. And just as it seemed that TSM was getting a bit of a hold back on the game, finding a way to push down mid, they pulled the trigger, and FlyQuest make a beautiful call to take the Nexus.
It's just so crazy that they can recognize right there that TSM done goofed. They didn't answer. TSM lost Hanser, and then they said, all right, there's 2 people bottom. We can go ahead and push mid. They had actually Flame and Wild Turtle push. JJ backed saying, I'm a Tom Kench. I don't add much to this base race. So he backed and tried to delay.
Wow.
And that was just so well played from everybody on FlyQuest to delay and make sure that they won the game off that. That kind of, I would say, makes up for there were only 10 kills in this game. More turrets died than players. But right there at the end, that was absolutely exhilarating, the way they're able to do it once again.
It's a great way to put it. More turret died than players, and that needs to be looked at as how teams can keep getting past TSM. Their structures, you go through them, you just take them out. To hear more about how FlyQuest just pushed for that win, let's send it down to Avli and the Victoria's bot laner.
Thanks, guys. Turtle, congratulations on that win. Another base race for FlyQuest. What was the final call and what was going on in the team comms during those final moments?
Honestly, we had like a pretty long stalemate where we're like kind of didn't know what to do. So we're like, all right, I think we just need to like try to kill someone on their side lane. So we were kind of looking for that the whole time. And then I think when we saw 4 members of TSM mid and then we saw our members around there and they could potentially stop the bases, we were like, all right, maybe we can actually end the game here. So we just tried for it and it worked out.
Now, our base race is just going to be the new signature move of FlyQuest.
Seems like we can't win any other way, you know?
Well, Turtle, thank you and congratulations again. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Best base race team known to man, FlyQuest now. Of all time.
2 base races.
Where did
in
that come from?
3 games. No one has ever done that, Jack.
Never. I mean,
History of
what's interesting about it is like literally the last two games ago when they did it for the first time against 100 Thieves, we were all sitting here going, when was the last time you even saw a League of Legends game end in a base race?
And this technically wasn't even a base race.
That's a good point, too.
This was like one of those macro plays where let's force them back from the mid turret by threatening to end the game.
Well, it was like TSM were like, we'll base race you, bro, and then they kind of got called out on it.
Wait a second. No, we can't.
Couple of things. There is a double Mountain Drake. You have to respect that. Full credit to FlyQuest for making this call, because the fact that they double flashed made you see how important they knew killing him. And this is where TSM, at this point, right now, the game is over.
Right. They're 1 turret behind, like you said, against double Mountain Drakes. They can't afford to keep pushing. They kind of realize that.
Ezreal's not even hitting the turret.
If
right?
TSM doesn't immediately recall after their top laner dies and 3 people are that far up in their base with 3 minions plus a cannon, you have to immediately respect that. And I love the fact that FlyQuest suicided in for this. Also the way Santorin did it as well, getting his aftershock.
All 3 people he just stopped
flashing
right there.
through everything, like just suicide to stop these backs.
Right.
And FlyQuest kept exactly who they needed to DPS down those turrets, like expertly done.
And then a good call by Flame here to realize he needs to protect Turtle. Like, there's a chance that if the Ezreal's untouched, he can go and get those 2 kills. Everyone's super focusing the Nexus.
Right.
So really clean play by FlyQuest. Not at all on TSM side. You could see, like we said, Sven was trying to back initially. Then they realized they needed him to even get that turret, which delays him from getting back even more. And so FlyQuest, yeah, maybe they are just the
Which is scary, right? Yeah, maybe they really are. Which is scary, though, because we talk about TSM, you know, historically being such a stellar reactive team, but in this situation specifically, they did not react appropriately.
Well, I think it goes back to what Jao was saying, where they usually have leads when they're playing reactively. And so, hey, we're the one with 2 Mountain Drakes, and you're the one who's trying to make some play, and then we react. But from behind, they're not at the 2 Mountain Drakes. Ash and Kennen were both relatively strong over the course of this game, so it makes it harder to make those calls.
And also, it looked like TSM was trying to be old TSM.
Yep.
Like, so hard. Look at this draft, man. Syndra, Bjergsen, this is his 41st Syndra game. 32-8 all-time on the pick. Gnar, 18-6, the all-time record for Haunter on the pick. Braum for Mithy, this is his 38th time playing Braum. 28-9 all-time on the pick. Like, holy crap, they went deep into comfort for this. And you think, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to win every lane. Right? Braum, Ezreal, they can play it to at least neutral. Syndra's going to smash. Haunter's Gnar is so good, like, surely he's going to do something. And then they lose the first 3 turrets of the game.
Well, that's the thing, too, is how those comfort picks were supposed to interact. Like, Bjerg last picked it, and it's supposed to be their counter pick. And Haunter blind picked the Gnar. They try to ban some stuff out, but at the end of the day, the Kennen comes through, which is a counter pick in the Gnar and should have pressure. So you have these 2 points that should be combating each other, but when you see what actually plays out in the game, it just does not work out that way.
It's what we call the tale of 2 dives here. Executed first by FlyQuest to success. TSM will attempt to follow, not so well.
This is like your Olympic dive that wins the gold medal, silver medal. Like, I actually think it was perfect because they got the aftershock for the turret shots. And then this one, if you flash right away, he's dead. You don't flash right away. You flash, and then the Drowsy gets you before you even got your auto attack off. So you have the kill fall over. When, worst case, you get a 1-for-1 if you're flashing in for that. That was part of it. TSM actually did fight back a lot in the mid-game.
Yeah, you see that gold graph.
Well, I was actually going to say is that gold graph is a little bit of a bait. That's only a 3K throw, quote unquote, from FlyQuest, which is not that big in the grand scheme of things. It's just that the gold lead never got higher than 3K. So it looks like they did lose.
They dropped off a cliff there for a moment.
It looks like they dropped off a cliff compared to some actual throws where it's like, oh, we lost 8K. This is actually not that big of a gold swing over the time period that it happened. It's just that because the game ended so abruptly, FlyQuest never actually built a sizable lead.
So I want to return to the discussion that we had at the top of the day about both of these squads. First and foremost, FlyQuest, our winners here. We were having the conversation about what it would take to officially recognize them as a top-tier team, because once again, they grab a victory, they're slotting up in the standings, but was this a convincing enough victory when you're winning via base race or split push, reactive, in-the-moment call? Is that enough for you to say that this is a top 3 team in the NALCS?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say that it remains to show you that they are a solid team. And it also shows that they have good communication, because this is now another game they've been able to win from relative parity within the game, and they have much cleaner calls down the stretch. 100 Thieves, they made this call from the deficit. This game, they made the call from what was basically an even game to win it, and other teams aren't able to keep up with their map play.
Yeah, my biggest issue was the fact that they actually solved a lot of their early game problems. We're talking about how they're last place in the league, but they actually had like about a 2K gold lead at 15 minutes.
Yep. Yeah.
And then they lost it. And that's when they were supposed to be kind of at their best. And if they were able to stay clean the whole way through, I would have said that, yes, this is a great game. You punish the team for making a mistake, but it felt like the game was slipping away with how much JJ was getting picked off.
I was going to say, the culprit being JJ getting picked off every so often. For TSM, Jat, they followed the instructions, the strategy that you laid it out.
It's true.
And to a degree, as we saw, they never got so far behind. You mentioned 3K gold deficit at 30 minutes isn't so bad. Even found opportunities to make those picks on JJ and get back in it, and then only lose in a fashion that we'll probably never see again. So how do you feel about this TSM squad coming away with a loss?
It's continually dark days.
Okay.
It's just as dark as it was beforehand. Like, there was a world in which they win this game, a scenario where their mid lane dive goes better and they get a little bit of win pressure, and then by the time they make those mid game plays, they're up 3K. But like, that's not the reliable way TSM wants to win. Like, there's no way they're happy about the mini comeback they had to put themselves up against. So it's still bad.
All right, well, a tough loss for TSM today, who's still looking to make a run towards playoffs. For FlyQuest, man, I don't know how they do it. It's time for us to regroup. When we return, it's 100 Thieves versus Counterlogic Gaming. Game 2 is coming up after the break.